Tarik nafas, hembus. Assalamualaikum to Prof. Rasida. We are going to present our group assignment for managerial finance, and we want to inform that we choose three companies: CIMB Bank for the finance industry, SP Setia for property industry, Adventa Berhad for healthcare industry. Our group consists of me, Ainin Sofia, Lydia Izni, Nik Muhammad Adib, and Wahyu Anwar. Next slide, please. The first company is CIMB Group, which is under finance industry. The CIMB Group is a significant Asian universal bank as well as one of the region's top corporate consultants. CIMB Bank is the fifth largest banking company by assets in the ASEAN Group's commercial bank with 224 locations across Malaysia. Total assets were RM608.6 billion as of March 31, 2021, with total shareholder funds of RM57.4 billion and total Islamic assets of RM150 billion. As being denominated by Malaysia Rating Corporation Berhad, MARC, the CIMB Group Holdings Berhad subordinated debts have an AA+ rating. So next will be SP Setia Berhad, which is fall under property industry. SP Setia Berhad is an award-winning real estate player listed on Bursa Securities main market with over 2,100 highly skilled and devoted employees known as Team Setia. The share capital for SP Setia as for 2020 is RM8468 million compared to 2019, which is 8432 million. To add on, Malaysia Rating Corporation Berhad has also assigned a preliminary rating of AA to SP Setia for the proposed RM3.0 billion Islamic Medium Term Notes Program. The rating also considers SP Setia substantial land bank with strong transportation links, which would give further opportunities for property development. The last one is Adventa Berhad, which fall under healthcare industry. Adventa Berhad is a healthcare public limited company which established in 2004. This company is currently headquartered at Petaling Jaya, Selangor. Adventa's product lines includes medical and healthcare equipment, appliance, and medical waste goods for hospital, healthcare facilities, and pharmacies in Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. To date, the company's share capital is RM209.3 million. Next, I will pass to Mr. Adib to continue with beta coefficient of the stocks.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ainin, for the introduction. So next, we will move on to the analyzing the beta coefficient of the stocks. What we should do first is to analyze the annual average return for the stocks. From the ARR, we have analyzed these three companies, and as referring to the annual rate of return among the three companies, it shows that Adventa gives a higher return by 0.61% as compared to SP Setia and CIMB that gives negative expected return of negative 0.03% and negative 0.01% respectively. So this then we identify the standard deviation, where the standard deviation from the past is commonly used to predict future variability. According to the findings, Adventa again has the highest standard deviation of 8.85% compared to 3.34% for SP Setia and 2.33% for CIMB. The standard deviation is a measure of risk magnitude, so we can say that Adventa has a highest risk and CIMB are the lowest risk between companies. Okay, next, of course, investors are required to want as much profit as possible with a minimum or little risk. So to assist investors in measuring these two critical aspects and providing the best investment options, the coefficient of variation or CV is utilized, which reflects the data from standard deviation with the expected return, capturing the effect of both risk and return. As we can see in the slide, also we have come out with the analysis of these three stocks. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, next, when the means are equal, a company with a higher standard deviation will usually have a higher coefficient of variation. So the table shows that Adventa has a coefficient of 14.53. This indicating that it is 14 times riskier than SP Setia and CIMB, and also with the market, both of which have this SP Setia and CIMB have a negative coefficient. We also can see in the graph where the degree of dispersion around the regression line is measured by the R2 value in the graph. So this R2 represents the percentage of variance explained by the regression equation. So as we can see in the graph, the R2 for CIMB is 0.00. For SP Setia is also 0.00, and for Adventa, R2 is 0.01. So furthermore, the intercept in the regression equation on the figures shows how the company's average monthly react to causes other than a general fall in stock price. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, in addition, the security market line illustrates the expected changes in the return as a result of changes in the beta coefficient. The tendency of the stock to move up and down with the market is referred to by the beta coefficient. A stock with a beta equal to 1 is considered to be an average risk. Stock with a beta less than 1 follow the market direction, but to a lesser extent. A beta greater than 1, on the other hand, indicates that the stock will move in lockstep with the market, but with greater volatility. So as we can see in the slide on the graph, the three stocks move in lockstep with the market, but Adventa was by far the most volatile with a beta of 0.39. CIMB was similarly volatile with a beta of 0.13, and SP Setia was less volatile with a beta of 0.09. So in conclusion, we can say that all three stocks have a positive beta. We will expect its return to increase whenever the overall stocks market rise. So it is all for me. So I will pass to to the next slide.
Thank you, Adib. Now we will go to capital asset pricing model, which is CAPM. Based on the table, we can see that the company and their CAPM. According to the table, CIMB, SP Setia, and Adventa have required return of 2.29114%, 2.39602%, and 1.60942% when we use RRF 2.632 based on the government security yield as of 8 July 2021, where we can see on the picture right at the right, we can observe that Adventa is riskier since its beta is greater at 0.39 as per informed earlier, and following it CIMB, which has a beta of 0.13, and SP Setia, which has a beta of 0.09. As the SP Setia beta is low, we may conclude that the stock from SP Setia has a low risk. Next, we will move on to the next presentation from Wahyun.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ainin, for the presentation. So next, we are going to proceed with growth. For this purpose, growth is referred to as the changes of value of a specific variable within the specific period of time. And this changes is represented by a certain amount of percentage in the form of earnings from shares, dividends, or asset possession. And for this purpose of analysis, we going to use the two approach of growth, which are the expected forward-looking growth and also the trailing growth rates, whereby the analysis is much more touched on the earning per share or EPS and also the dividend. For these two analyses, we use on the year-to-year basis, considering that each stock performance by the year end, whereby we're applying the historic data from the past 5 immediate years, starting from 2016 until 2020, and then we extracted the data in which we forecast the financial years for 2021 until 2023. And for the types of growth, we are using the formula of D1 minus D0, whereby D1 represented by the initial the N EPS value, which we taken from the year of 2020, and for D0, the initial is taken from the previous year. And as for the analysis, we use the formula of D0 times 1 plus growth rate. So we move to another slide, please. So these are the tabulation of earnings per share possessed by all the three stocks, which are CIMB Bank, SP Setia, and Adventa. And as we can see from the table here, the 5 years historic data is taken from 2016 until 2020, and we are doing the forecast based on 2021 until 2023 expectation. Earnings per share is a financial statement index that provides crucial information for analyzing the profit performance of publicly traded firms. So from this tabulated data, we can conclude here that the top earner for the past 5 years performance is possessed by CIMB, whereby in 2018 the EPS value earned by CIMB was 0.177, and for the top earner has been forecasted by our analysis is hold by SP Setia for the financial year of 2023 as expected, with the EPS value at 21.446. And among all these three stocks, we have concluded that the top average is held by Adventa, having a 14% for 5 plus 3 forecasted financial year. And from this data also, we can assume and we can acknowledge that the top losers for the past 5 years performance is recorded by SP Setia in 2020, whereby it recorded a negative 0.065 EPS value compared to the previous year, because in 2019, SP Setia recorded a positive value of 0.011. And for the top loser forecast, is expected to be yielded by SP Setia in 2022 as expected, whereby the company will going to forecasted to have the negative value of 3.104 in the EPS. And moving to the another slide, whereby we can acknowledge the growth rate from all the three stocks, whereby the top growth percentage is possessed by Adventa, whereby the graph here is shown by the orange line, from 0% to 50% from 2020 until the forecasted year of 2023. Among those three stocks, we have acknowledged that the most decline is going to be experienced by SP Setia, whereby the company is going to decline at the negative 35% to negative 691%. So next, we are moving to discuss on the dividend growth by all three companies. Dividend is distribution of a portion of a company's earnings to a class of shareholders set by the board of directors or BOD of the firm, which the dividend can be received in the form of cash and also in terms of more shares that can be given by the company. From this chart, we can from this tabulation, we can conclude that the top payout for the past 5 years performance is possessed by CIMB, whereby in 2019, CIMB paid at 0.260 cents per share for its shareholder, which is the highest among all these three stocks. And we also forecasted that CIMB going to pay at a steady amount of 0.260 cents per share from 2021 until 2023 financial year as expected. And for the top average also given to CIMB, whereby CIMB going to pay the growth rate of 5% has been averaged by CIMB is concluded from 5 historic data years plus with 3 forecasted financial year. And we also have concluded that among all those 3 stocks, the top losers based on the past 5 years performance was recorded by Adventa, whereby the company have recorded a zero dividend payment starting from 2016 until 2018, and in 2020 the company also is expected to pay at zero dividend policy. And for the top loser forecasted, we expect that SP Setia in 2020 expected years, they are going to experience a negative 0.037 dividend. And next, we can see the graph showing the growth of all 3 stocks in terms of their dividend payment out. From this graph, we can conclude here that CIMB, again, they hold the top position as a top growth percentage from the year of 2018 until 2019, whereby they recorded 0% to 4% growth in terms of dividend payment. And for the Adventa, has been mentioned before, the beta rate is quite high, so it can be further concluded here that the dividend payout for Adventa is expected from 0% to negative 100% has been recorded from the financial year of 2019 and 2020. So now I'm going to pass the further presentation to Ms. Lydia to conclude our findings. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wahyun, for the presentation. So I will conclude for all the 3 companies, which is firstly, I will conclude about the average annual rate of return, which is Adventa gives a higher return by 0.61%, will bring more profit to investors when compared to SP Setia and CIMB, which gives negative expected return of negative 0.03% and minus 0.01% respectively. And secondly, the beta, as we can see, Adventa is riskier since its beta is greater, which is 0.39, followed by CIMB and SP Setia, which has a beta of 0.13 and 0.09 accordingly. And then since SP Setia's beta is the lowest, the stock has the lowest risk comparing to CIMB and Adventa. Thirdly, the standard deviation, which we can see Adventa has the highest risk of 8.85% compared to 3.34% for SP Setia, and lowest risk is CIMB with 2.33%. And for the CAPM, SP Setia has the highest required return, which is 2.29114%, followed by CIMB, which is 2.39602%, and also for Adventa is 1.60942%, when the RF is 2.632%, which is stated by the government. Okay, next we can conclude about the EPS. We can see that Adventa has the highest earnings with average of 14% compared to CIMB, which has negative earnings of minus 44% and also minus 404% accordingly. However, entering second year of the pandemic, Adventa has put some hope to the company's shares. As of the first quarter of 2021, which is they mark the increase of EPS to the value of negative 0.01. So with such performance, Adventa's shares is believed to have great chance to rebound in the market, provided if the consequent quarters show a streak of increase until the year end. And lastly, the SP Setia has the lowest forecast for EPS in year 2022 estimated with minus 3.10%. And last but not least, for the dividend, we can see that CIMB gives the highest dividend for the past 5 years with 26 cents per share,
in year 2009, while Adventa gives 0.086 cents per share and Adventa 0.07 cents per share respectively in the same year. So we can see that CIMB has experienced a positive average of 5% forecast growth, while SP Setia and Adventa is forecast to be declining to -61 and -57% accordingly to the next 3 years. As we can see, for the final talks on the selected stocks, we can conclude that CIMB has the lower expected return with the lowest risk when compared with Adventa, which has the highest return but with the highest risk. What we can see that we can recommend the investors to invest in CIMB, which even though it provides the lowest return, but it also has the lowest risk. So we can see that CIMB's EPS is increasing gradually while the dividend is increasing for the past 5 years. And we can forecast to maintain individual dividend of 26 cents per share and the average of 5% growth for the next 3 years. And also we can see that CIMB has a lot of room to grow in the future, since it expected that once the epidemic is over, revenues will be more stable and there will be less concern about the large provisions for susceptible industries and slow loan growth. And last but not least, the CIMB dividend percent ratio in 2009 was at 56%, which is the highest in the 10 years, with shareholders receiving a dividend of 26 cents per share. This is a quote by the Age Market in year 2020. So that's all for our presentation, and we would like to say thank you.